Hey everybody, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Welcome to this Pokemon Challenge Q&A video. First of all, I just want to say sorry. I know it's Saturday and most of you are expecting a Pokemon Challenge. In fact, I was expecting to have one done by today. I think I talked about it in the previous, at the end of the previous Pokemon Challenge that I wanted to have Pokemon Black with all first form bug Pokemon and like no one form only bug Pokemon challenge today, but it's been taking much longer than expected. As usual, the Gen 5 challenges tend to take a long time because with the nature of it being a challenge, usually you have to overlevel to some degree because you're trying to overcome some kind of difficulty, and Gen 5 really doesn't like overleveling because it gives you less experience the higher level you are in comparison to whatever it is you're fighting. So that's its own problem. Even farming Audinos, it takes an absolute age. So I'm just not able to get it done on time. So hopefully that'll be done next week. I'm almost like 100% sure it'll be done next week. So I thought I'd do this Q&A video first. So what I'm doing is I asked you guys on Twitter for some questions for me to answer, and I got 20 good ones. So I'm going to start with 3 general questions that I just get a lot of, and then we're going to get into 20 specific ones that you guys tweeted at me. First general one is, why did Marcel, the Mr. Mime in the Gen 1 Pokemon All-In-Game Trade Challenge, why did he not obey me around, I think it was level 30 or 31, even though I had the Thunder Badge? I put this on screen at the time, but I think people got confused by the chart, because it said, like, Thunder Badge up to level 40 obeys, but it had a symbol next to it, and that symbol means, let's go Pikachu and Eevee. For all the games that cover Kanto, the Gen 1 area, or Gen 3 in the case of Fire Red, Leaf Green, the badges, it's only every other badge that raises the limit for obeying. And also, a lot of people are confused about obeying in a lot of these challenges. Pokemon can only disobey you if they are an outsider Pokemon, which basically in most cases just means a traded Pokemon, whether that be trading from game to game or an in-game trade. Either way, it works the same. So, you know, you could catch a Rattata in your game and level it to level 100 with no badges, and it'll never disobey you. But if you traded in any given Pokemon and you leveled it up past, I think it's like level 10 before Brock, it would start disobeying you. Second one I get a lot is if I've ever thought of doing a Monotype challenge, so basically just beating the game and every Pokemon has to be a specific type. That's just really easy. I used to do that for fun, like 7-8 years ago. I did a few of those on my channel, just like full Let's Plays of Monotypes. I did Pokemon Blue, Poison only, I did Pokemon Gold, Normal only, I think, and Pokemon Ruby, I think it was Dark only. Don't watch any of those, by the way. They were so long ago and embarrassing to go back and watch. They were terrible playthroughs. But that's just too easy. That's why, like, on my Gen 5 one I'm doing right now, it's more than just a monotype. It's not just bug types, it's first form bug types and no single form only ones. So the whole gimmick is essentially that the Pokemon all share a common weakness and all have really low base stats. Last one I get asked a lot is, what kind of Pokemon-related channels have I been watching recently? I've been watching a lot of Johnstone, Godfrey Games, and Lester Purge Pink recently. Johnstone, a lot of you probably know him because he's quite popular as well. He does things like the Professor Oak Challenge. I think that's what he's most well known for, probably. But he does a lot of Pokemon challenges that are somewhat similar to me. It's a similar format and that is highly edited and everything. Godfrey Games, you might know him as Brandon. He's been on my show for like 8 years. He recently tried his hand at doing Pokemon challenges, and I think his style's really interesting. He does it very differently than mine, with a lot of like drawn pictures and stuff. It's pretty cool. Just the way he paces his videos is very different from mine. In fact, he did Pokemon Emerald Shedinja, which is a highly requested one from me. So if you want to watch that, I recommend you go check out Godfrey Games. And Lester Purge Pink is someone who also does some Pokemon challenges, kind of like I've done, but also just does like stream Let's Play type things of Pokemon, and that's been fun as like relaxed background noise stuff while grinding recently, and they've got a fun community over on Discord. Alright, time for the tweeted in questions. First, Graham here asks, have you ever started a challenge and then quit doing it for whatever reason? Nope, hasn't happened yet. It'll probably happen at some point, but I like to think that I researched them well enough that I would know if it's one that I don't want to do before I've started. I think the only case of that not being the case, in fact, would be the challenge I'm working on right now, the bug one. It's much harder and slower than I thought it was going to be, but I'm not giving up on it. I mean, I'm really close to the end. There's literally 2 fights left in the game. I have to do N and I have to do Getsis, that's it. But I think I literally am going to need to spend a day and a half grinding just to be able to survive him, because I'm at a point where against N, he one-shots my whole team with Stone Edge, and he's faster than me. So the luck required for him to just miss every single time is like astronomical. I'd need him to miss like 30 times in a row. It's ridiculous. I need to level up more. Ron asks, as of right now, what is the most requested challenge that you have not done yet, and is it a challenge you'd consider doing in the future? Most requested for me is probably a tie between Shedinja only Emerald and doing it with either one unknown or a team of unknown. They recommend that for basically any Pokemon game, but I think Gen 2 is the most common. I might do an unknown challenge at some point. It would be with a full team of 6, because I would want to catch enough that I have decent type coverage. I think that doing it with just one would be really, really boring, because it's just... It would just be me having one move and then seeing how far I could get in the game. Like, every battle's just hit the A button until either I win or I lose. It's got the same problem as, like, the Magikarp one had in a lot of battles, which was just using Struggle a lot. The Wobbuffet one had in a lot of battles, which was just using Struggle a lot. And that became a real boring video because of it. So that's my issue with doing the unknown one. As for Pokemon Emerald with one Shedinja, maybe I'll do it at some point. I'd probably rather do it in a different generation, to be honest, just because Brandon already did it, and you can just go watch him do it if you want to see whether it's possible or not. In fact, he did it with stricter rules than I would have done. I think he didn't allow TMs, which I would have at least allowed TMs, so there you go, you can go check that out. Third question, Nuck asks, what has been your most triumphant / most strategized victory in all the challenges? I think the most triumphant one has been, honestly, the Sunkern one, beating Red specifically in Pokemon Crystal with one Sunkern. Sunkern is the lowest base stats Pokemon in any Pokemon game right now. I say this, Gen 8 hasn't come out, so maybe one will be weaker. There's one Pokemon, I think it's called Wishy-Washy, that has 5 less base stats, but it also has a more powerful form that it goes into. I'm not entirely sure the mechanics of that, but essentially Sunkern is weaker. And it's also in a Gen 2, where tons of gym leaders and Elite Four members and stuff like that resist grass. In fact, tons of mandatory Pokemon that you have to fight double resist grass. And Sunkern is just a pathetic Pokemon. So the fact that I was able to beat Red, one of the hardest, like, highest leveled trainer battles in any Pokemon game, is still mind-blowing to me. The strategy I came up with it, I think, worked really well. So I'm gonna say probably that one. Question number 4, Sir asks, which Pokemon challenge was your least favorite? Probably the Bidoof one. That's hard to say. The Bidoof one is probably my least favorite in terms of it was really negative because the game was an absolute slog. Because, again, Gen 5 doesn't like you just power leveling, and so it's difficult to do challenges in. It has the TM mechanic where TMs are reusable, which is really good, actually. You'd think that'd be really good for challenges, because you could strategize a lot more, but what held it down was the grinding. Honestly, if Gen 5 didn't have its horrible grinding system of having to pay close attention to it for shaking grass, and the whole you get less experience if the Pokemon is a lower level than you, and like less and less and less. If not for that, it wouldn't be that bad. But the sheer amount of grinding I had to do in that, just to get anything done, was very frustrating. Because like I had to do more grinding in the Wobbuffet challenge and the Magikarp challenges. But those were also with way, way worse Pokemon and way harder challenges. The Bidoof challenge wasn't super hard. The last few battles of the game were really hard, like Getsis and N. Those were all really brutal fights. Legitimately really, really brutal. But for the most part, the majority of the game wasn't brutal. It was the grinds were horrible. And what makes grinding so much less tolerable in Gen 5 is that, you know, in most games, if I'm grinding, I can be paying attention to another monitor, I can be editing a video on the side on another monitor, I could be watching videos on another monitor, I could be doing all kinds of things on another monitor. But with Gen 5, the fastest way you can grind in most areas, not all, is Audino, which is only in Shaken Grass, and in some areas is not the only thing that can show up in Shaken Grass, which means you need to just run back and forth with your eyes pinned on the screen, waiting until you see Shaken Grass, hope you can get to it without running into an encounter on the way, hope it's an Audino, which it isn't always, and then kill it for a bunch of experience. And honestly, once you're a huge level lead ahead of it, it's still not that much, to the point that you may as well just grind on anything over and over, because at least you'll run into encounters more often, and if you're one-shotting them every time or two-shotting them, then you actually spend less time just fighting whatever shows up in some areas, and it's actually a net gain there. And at least you can look away from the screen and do something else there. So, least favorite, probably the Bidoof one. That was horrendous. I'm probably not doing Gen 5 challenges after this, because I keep forgetting just how bad the grinding is. Jordan asks, do you have any rejected challenge? I'm gonna guess that's any rejected challenge ideas, or ones you won't do. I mean, I get thousands and thousands of challenge requests, and I try my best to keep up with them, but you know, it is really hard to keep up with them. There's so many. But whenever I see ideas that I like, I write them down and I study them later. As for like rejected ones that I flat out won't do, I mean, there's ones that seem so not fun that I'm probably never going to do them. I'll get ones where it's just like, no Poke Center, no Marts, one Pokemon, it's only an unknown, and you can't go past level 30. Like, stuff that is so obviously impossible, and that you'd get, like, one gym into the game or whatever, where I think it's just the person writing it doesn't really understand how difficult that actually is. But there's no one that immediately comes to mind that, like, gets requested every day that I just won't do. So not really. Obsta asks, how many times have you dreamt that you were doing challenges in your sleep, if any? None. Max asks, which Pokemon challenge would you do again if you had to? I mean, if I had to, then I guess, like, the easiest one, which was probably the Rattata one. But if you mean, like, what one could I do again now and improve it? None of them? So I guess I would still just go with the easiest one. I mean, the only one that I ever failed was the Wobbuffet one, but I wouldn't redo it. Because, like, a lot of people commented on that and they said, like, what about if you use Safeguard? Or what about if you intentionally paralyzed yourself and stuff like that? And first of all, the pinned comment on that video for months now has explained why I did try that, and it went so disastrously that I didn't even put it in the video. I didn't think to show that, because it doesn't protect you from Leech Seed. So it still doesn't help. If you get Leech Seeded, you just lose. And so that's its own problem. But someone actually broke down the math on how many times in that battle, like the percent chance of everyone missing, and how many times they'd have to miss for you to win that battle. And it was something ridiculous, like your opponent would have to miss like 50 times in a row or something, and the percent chance of that, like, I would likely have to, from when I wake up to when I go to sleep, continue to grind away at that one Wallace battle for like a week, 2 weeks, just nonstop, 16 hours a day, hitting the A button and trying to fight over and over until I win. I'm not doing that. Like, I think, first of all, I would go insane. And second, I think you guys would rather watch me do other challenges at that point when it's that ridiculous. And it's not a challenge, it's just do it over and over until the luck lines up at that point. And the numbers are so astronomical that why would you ever want to watch me do that? And so, I'm not doing that again. Wolf20KO asks, why do you do this to yourself? Is this some sort of reparations you feel need to be paid? I do it because it's fun. It's the same reason I did like every video that I've ever done. Like, you guys have seen me try all kinds of weird different formats here and there, and I would keep doing it for like years on the side, even if it's not successful. Like, isn't that the entire history of my channel? Doing things, being unsuccessful, and then continuing to do them anyway just because it's fun. Like, something not getting popular has never stopped me, and so that's the reason why I do everything that I do. Just, it's fun to do. Same reason I started doing Pokemon challenges. I thought it looked like fun, and I know a lot about Pokemon. I've played Pokemon like my whole life, so I decided to give it a try, and the fact that it's successful is just a nice side bonus. Karate Kid asks, how excited are you for the inevitable John Luke Ducklet challenge? Alright, that's a very good reference to my Duck Dynasty Let's Play with Brandon, Godfrey Games. You may have seen Shedinja Challenge. We Let's Played a Duck Dynasty video game probably like a year ago, and it is probably one of the funniest playlists on the channel. Go check it out in my playlist section, it's really funny. I'll have a card in the top right to that playlist if you want to see it. Unusual Things asks, what challenge took the most time? Genuinely, I don't remember, but I'm gonna say it's either the Magikarp one or the Wobbuffet one. The Sunkern one took a long time, but I don't think it took as long as the Magikarp one or the Wobbuffet one. Even though I did succeed in the Wobbuffet one, I think it did actually take the longest in terms of hours. Because although the Magikarp one took me longer to make, I wasn't working on it as hardcore. Because at the time that I was making the Magikarp one, none of my challenges had more than like 1,000 views. So, you know, I thought, you know, just make it at my own pace. Don't drive myself insane doing it. And then about a week into working on the Wobbuffet one, just very, very slowly here and there, my challenge videos started getting really popular. And so I made that video where I just said thank you everybody for that. And you guys could see I was still grinding in like near the beginning of the game. Because I was grinding in the background of that video. And so, in terms of hours spent, probably the Wobbuffet one, because I was just doing that, like, from when I woke up to when I went to sleep, until that came out, basically. I did, like, 6 days worth of editing in 3 days. It was pretty crazy. So, yeah, I'm gonna say the Wobbuffet one. Moggs? I think that's how you pronounce that. Will you speedrun a Pokemon game for fun? Probably not. I've watched some speedruns of Pokemon games, and although they're quite interesting to watch, it doesn't really look like my kind of game to speedrun. It's a bit long for me. The only game that I speedrun is Silent Hill 2. I do the any % speedrun of that on PC specifically, which is its own hilarious mess of a speedrun, very glitchy. I'm like 24th place or something. I think at my peak I was like 19th place, but people have jumped in ahead of me on that. I don't have an amazing time or anything, but it's one that I'm really proud of, because I set myself, like, I gave myself like 2 months to beat the game in under an hour, and I think I did it in like 2 or 3 weeks. It's not a hard speedrun at all. It is such a basic game to speedrun. I really recommend it for new people getting into speedruns, because it's all just memorization and movement, and those are good skills to have in any game that you speedrun. So I had a lot of fun with that. I met a lot of cool people through learning how to speedrun that game. I made quite a few friends, actually, learning how to speedrun that game. And I'd love to try and improve my time at some point, maybe learn another game or two. But I just speedrun for fun. It's not something that I take super, super seriously. So I don't think I'm going to get into a really long speedrun like a Pokemon game. Bun Bun asks, have there been any Pokemon challenges that you've attempted in the past but you haven't recorded? Nope. Everyone that I've ever actually taken the time to attempt, I've recorded. Braxton asks, how long does a typical grind take / video? A typical grind session, I can't really put a number on. It completely depends on the game, how much I need to grind, how many Pokemon I have. Like, there's so much that goes into that makes the number go from like 30 minutes to 2 days. Like, it could be anything. As for the typical video, the editing process is hard to say just because I've gotten faster and faster at it. As it's become more of a formula that I've nailed down. The challenge itself could vary wildly from video to video as well. Like, some challenges take me just 2 days of playing it most of the day. And then some, like those in-game trade ones, didn't take much time at all, like a 2 or 3 days each one. Whereas, you know, some of them will take 2 weeks of working on it pretty hardcore every day. So how long does it take typically? There's no real answer. It entirely depends on the individual challenge. Pechaberry asks, how long are you planning to do these for, and what are you planning to do to keep up the growth once they start to lose momentum? How long? Until I stop finding them fun, and what am I going to do to keep up growth once they start to lose momentum? Nothing. I treat the channel the same way I did like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, when I just started doing this as a teenager. It's just fun. I want to keep doing it for as long as it's fun. So if the Pokemon challenges all of a sudden start getting 500 views, I'll just keep doing them if I keep finding them fun. Just, you know, at my own pace. I'll probably slow them down a little, just so I don't go losing the rest of my hair. But I don't know, as long as I keep finding them fun. And what am I going to do to keep up the growth? Hope it stays. I'm not going to really go out of my way and do things that I don't find fun just to keep it growing. A better question actually is, what am I doing to make sure that it's still going strong during the period that the Pokemon challenges get less popular? But like, what am I going to do during the period that it is popular to keep my channel popular when the Pokemon challenges get less popular? And that is, I'm doing crossover stuff, basically, where it's like the halfway between a challenge video and one of my Let's Play videos. You know, Pokemon-related stuff, but in Let's Play, or challenge-related stuff, but in Let's Play. Because then more of the people who are willing to watch the Pokemon challenges but don't want to get into the rest of my stuff are willing to give a more Let's Play or stream thing a chance on my channel, and then maybe they'll find that they like my commentary or they like my personality or something like that, and then they might start watching the non-Pokemon Let's Play type stuff, which is the bulk of what I've done for all of these years. You know, I've been doing a video a day minimum for 8 years now, and so there's tons and tons and tons, like over 5,000 videos that are mostly Let's Play, and so if they start liking the Let's Play stuff, then probably fans for life, because I'm never going to stop doing the Let's Play stuff. So that'll help a little bit. If the Pokemon challenges suddenly become less popular in a few months, then I'm undoubtedly gonna, you know, go down to very, very low growth and low income and everything again, and that's okay, because at the end of the day, I had fun with it. Super Daniel asks, which challenge of yours was the hardest to make and which one was the easiest? Now, you say to make. The challenge that was the easiest to do was the Rattata one, but because it was the first one I ever did, the editing process wasn't very easy because I wasn't really sure what I was doing with that yet. I didn't have a formula that I had really nailed down yet. So I'm going to say the easiest one overall to do was In-Game Trades Gen 1, because the challenge itself was very easy. I had to grind very, very little. And by then I was very comfortable with editing that kind of video because I had done it like 7 or 8 times by that point. So I'm going to say that was the easiest one overall. Hardest? Wobbuffet one, because it was the only one where I didn't succeed. It was just too hard to challenge. Purple Zoroark? I've never known how to pronounce that Pokemon. Is there ever a moment in a challenge when you think you just cannot beat it? No, other than the one that I literally couldn't beat, which is the Wobbuffet one. Young Rorik asks, how long until the Psyduck only run? Or in all seriousness, how did you keep the motivation to keep grinding on YouTube for so long if success is never guaranteed? Psyduck only run? Maybe sometime. I do like Psyduck a lot. That might not be too hard. I guess it depends on the game. I'll have to do some research on that. As for how I kept momentum, I was just having fun with it. You know, I do Let's Play actively because I have fun with it. I did a bunch of tips videos because I was having fun with that. And I wouldn't mind doing some more here and there, even if they were never particularly successful. I did some tutorials. Those were pretty fun. I wouldn't mind doing more of those. I did creepypasta readings for years, mostly of Pokemon creepypasta. People really liked that, and that was successful, but I stopped doing it because I stopped having fun after doing like 120 of them. I've had a lot of people say, oh my god, I remember you from your Pokemon creepypasta readings like forever ago. Yeah, I actively stopped doing those while they were popular, by far the most popular thing on my channel, just because it wasn't fun anymore. That's just kind of how I've always operated. I don't want to fake it, you know? I'm only going to do it if I'm having fun doing it. So how did I find motivation? Even if, a lot of it wasn't very successful, it was just fun to do. Amanda asks, you've got to construct a team of the first evolutions of your 6 favorite Pokemon and beat a game with that team. Who are you picking? All right, I am picking Drowsy, my favorite Pokemon, Coughing, my second favorite Pokemon, and then I don't know the other 4 because people ask me all the time, like, what's your list of favorite Pokemon? And those are literally the only 2. Beyond that, I do not have an order for them. I am a very indecisive person when it comes to picking favorites on things, and so those are literally the only 2 that I've ever been able to nail down, is that Drowsy is my favorite, Coughing is my second favorite, and Hypno and Wheezing are equal to Drowsy and Coughing for me. They basically occupy the same slot. It's like the same thing with favorite video games. Like, I made a top 5 list forever ago, but I think I even said in that video, this is subject to heavily change because I'm indecisive. Like, my favorite video game is Evil Genius. My second favorite game is Deadly Premonition. They're almost even with each other, and I don't know what to put on the list after that. It becomes a big mess of a ton of games that I love. In fact, right now there are announced sequels for my 2 favorite games, so that's pretty exciting. I'm going to be doing both of them on the show, obviously. And I have Let's Played both Evil Genius and Deadly Premonition, if you ever want to watch those Let's Plays. In fact, the Deadly Premonition one is with Whatageek, who you might know from the randomizer playthroughs on his channel that we do together, and that is one of my favorite Let's Plays on my channel. So check that one out. It's a 100% playthrough of Deadly Premonition, in fact, which most people have not done because the game is hard enough to get running, let alone beat 100%. Sharzan asks, will you ever incorporate fan games into your challenge videos, like trying to beat Pokemon Reborn with only a single Pokemon? Well, I did Dragon Ball Z Team Training with one Yamcha. That was a really fun one and a very, very easy one because the game has like no balance whatsoever. If you're over leveled, it's very powerful in that game, although Yamcha is a very weak fighter. As for other ones, the only reason I did that mod is because A, it would be funny, B, I love Dragon Ball, and C, I was already really familiar with that mod. It's literally the only Pokemon mod that I'm very familiar with. I'm not really interested in getting into other ones because I am way too busy to do that. So the answer is a soft no. I may one day, but it is unlikely to be anytime soon. And last question, Only Hope Gaming. Ever thought about making the challenges over a few parts, not just one video? Not really. I don't think that would be fun to do. I don't think it'd be fun for the viewer, and with my editing style, there's just no point. I'd rather give people the variety. The only challenge I'm doing over multiple videos is the live one that I'm doing of like new team every gym, which is not the hardest challenge in the world. It's just kind of a journey more than anything. And I'm uploading the entire thing in full. And that's mostly just so that you guys can see what is it like for me doing a challenge? Like how long does this take? What are the challenges? You get to like watch it in full. And there's a lot of audience participation in that. So that's kind of the reason why I'm doing that. Either in that, no, I think I'll try and make all the challenges just one video. That's it for this Q&A, though. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I'm really sorry that I didn't have this Pokemon challenge done on time. Believe me, I was working hardcore on it day after day. I was like canceling plans with people and stuff, and I feel bad about that. In fact, it actually delayed the making of more episodes of the Pokemon randomizer over on Whatageek's channel. But because I've officially put this off until next week, me and him are going to record some more of that tonight. So, yeah, that's it for this video. If you guys want some more things to watch, there's that Duck Dynasty playlist, there's Whatageek's channel, there's Brandon's Pokemon challenge with Shedinja in Emerald. There's all kinds of things that you could watch. But if you peruse the playlist section of my channel, maybe you'll find something that you like. In fact, I want to do a video soon where I look at every playlist I've ever made over all of these years and give a real quick rundown on what I think of all of them. Going from newest to oldest, so the entire last half an hour of that video is probably going to be like, oh god, this is horrible, oh god, this is horrible, I can't watch this one anymore. A whole lot of that. But I need to go message Whatageek because it's time to go record some more stuff for his channel. So thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.